Hello everyone, I'm Dan Philgreen, and this is Shell Point Today for Thursday, May 16th. On today's show, we focus on two beautiful things, beautiful butterflies and beautiful science. Don Steenhoek discusses the latest installment of his lecture series, Beautiful Science. And we'll also visit the butterfly garden, where beautiful flowers attract beautiful butterflies. But first, a reminder that today, Robin Church and her massage team are speaking in the Health Connection about the benefits of massage and how it fits into your Life Quest goals. They're even giving out $5 certificates for massage at the Shell Point Salon. Just sign up for this class, happening this afternoon at 3:15 p.m. in the Social Center on the island. And then tomorrow, who doesn't like to hear children sing? We've got a delightful choir full of kids from the Three Oaks Middle School in Estero. They'll be offering an a cappella concert of songs from around the world in French Creole, Japanese, Spanish, Chinese, and more. All are welcome to the Three Oaks Middle School Chamber Choir, performing tomorrow at 1 p.m. in the Grand Cypress Room at the Woodlands. And then on Monday, it's time to strap your brain on, folks, because Don Steenhoek is back with the 8th installment of his Academy series, Beautiful Science. In this lecture, Don will discuss how the networks of proteins in our cells are just like the social networks found on the internet. Intrigued? Find out more at Beautiful Science 8, happening Monday at 1 p.m. in the Grand Cypress Room. Here's a preview.
Hello, everyone. I'm Terry Kolath, and I'm here today with our employee chaplain here at Shell Point, Don Steenhoek. And we're talking about beautiful science. Thanks for joining me again, Don.
Well, it's a privilege to be here.
And thanks for not letting us down. Semester after semester after semester, you've brought us beautiful science and boggled our minds.
Well, the beauty of it is that on the internet at TED.com and TEDMED.com, we have access to world-class experts who are making presentations that last for 18 minutes in terms that people can understand. You know, it's a wonderful opportunity to learn and to be informed about what's going on.
Another thing that it does for us is lets us know these people are human. I mean, they're funny, they're engaging, and they're involved in some of the most cutting-edge research in the world.
Absolutely.
It's fabulous. And we've been learning as much as we can with your help about DNA. Mm-hmm. What's going on with DNA?
Well, one of the things that they're finding out is there's a presenter that's going to talk about the social network of the proteins in our body. And he is basically somebody who is a mathematician who is doing research in terms of the interconnectedness of different events and different things that happen, not only in the sociological sense, but also in the physical sense of what's happening inside the cells of our body. And he's discovering that cells have identical proteins even though cells have different functions. And these identical proteins in different cells and different organs and all of that affect us in interconnected ways. And his mapping of that right now is about 2%. And some of his results are really quite startling in terms of treating an illness of the kidney, not only by treating the kidney as an organ, but by treating the social interaction or the connection between the identical protein molecules in the kidney and in other organs and in other cells in the body as well. So it holds a lot of promise, and it opens a door to understanding disease in a different way so that it can be treated more as a total body treatment rather than an individual organ treatment. Along with that, we now have the ability, and we've had it for several years, to actually add to the DNA structure within a living cell. And by doing that, we can then have that DNA produce specific proteins that have never been produced by that cell before.
Healing proteins, for instance?
Well, herein lies the challenge. And the person who makes that presentation, which will also be shown this time, uses this rather simple illustration, and I brought this with me this morning just to hopefully explain it to those who are watching. This is a simple tape recorder. Nothing more, nothing less. And she says in her presentation that our understanding of DNA and the process of life is we basically have developed a tool that's like this tape recorder. Now imagine that I would go into an auditorium where behind the curtain is a total symphony and a choir and an organ and every musical instrument known to man. And I'm sitting in this auditorium, and all I have in my hand is a simple tape recorder. And I start to hear this beautiful music. So I press record on my tape recorder, and I record what I'm hearing. Now, I have no understanding of the orchestra or the instruments or any of the things that are producing the sound. The only thing I have is a recording of the sound. Now, what I can do is I can go with my simple tape recorder and I can cut and splice the music that I've heard to rearrange it in different style with no understanding at all of how the music was produced. And she said that's where we're at with DNA. We don't understand the music. All we understand is the structure, and to try to apply that in a way that is helpful and beneficial is a monumental challenge that they're facing today. The potential is huge for all kinds of implications in terms of longevity, in terms of health, in terms of healing, in terms of new medicines and all of that. But as she says so eloquently, we don't understand the music. The only thing we can do is we can cut and splice it as though we understand it, but we're at that level of understanding. So although we've gained a lot of knowledge about DNA and how DNA is translated into RNA and how RNA produces individual proteins within the living cell and all of that, we understand the mechanism. We made the recording, but we don't understand the music. And as we try to understand the music, it's going to open a lot of doors.
Who would have ever thought that the last frontier is so deep within us?
That's true. That's true.
And thank you so much for bringing this information to us.
Well, it's my pleasure.
Oh, it's wonderful. Well, I hope you will join us Monday, May 20th, 1 o'clock, Grand Cypress Room, as Don Steenhoek again brings us beautiful science.
Also on our calendar today is a meeting of the Butterfly Garden Committee. Now, many of you might not be aware that we have a Butterfly Garden Committee. In fact, many of you might not even be aware that we have a butterfly garden. It's located behind King's Crown. It's a former drainage ditch that has been transformed by volunteers into a haven for butterflies. Even during the heat of summer, it's a great place to take a few minutes and enjoy the quiet beauty of plants and animals living together. Alice DeBaun took us on a tour.
In 1997, Hermine Hartley dedicated this butterfly garden to her mother, Hermine Peppinger. And that was when it all began, and it was all put together by Dee Siraj, who came over from the Sanibel Captiva Conservation Foundation. Most of those plants are still healthy, and we've been able to bring them back. Down in here, this was originally just a retention area for the runoff from Shell Point. And you'll notice it has all the rocks in it that are indigenous to a properly constructed retention area for the water. And when it's in the rainy season, we get as much as a foot or so of water in here. But right now, it drains off quite quickly, so that's not too big a problem. And we would like to have a pergola at one end and a walkway through, and it would have to be raised over this because the retention area needs to be kept intact. The willows and the buttonwoods sort of accommodate the butterflies in all different stages of their life. Here we have everything from the butterflies laying their eggs to the little tiny caterpillars that you can hardly see starting to munch away, taking some of our vines, especially the pipe vines, right down to nothing but sticks as they get bigger. And then of course, they go into the pupa stage, the cocoon stage, as some people call it, where they cover themselves all up and then they come out as a beautiful butterfly. And then the butterflies lay the eggs again, and we actually have all of this happening right here in our Shell Point Butterfly Garden, which is rather unusual because a lot of the butterfly gardens import their butterflies, which look elegant all the time, but they don't have to cope with things being eaten up by the caterpillars. So if you come here to look and you see something that's totally eaten up, it's not because it's dying, it's because the caterpillars are healthy. We also have a hawk. There was a pair of hawks earlier in the year, and we also have rabbits. So we try to keep the hawk-rabbit population sort of balanced out We also have smaller birds. Of course, a lot of them would like to eat the caterpillars, but we seem to be, at this point in time, almost miraculously, we have a balanced natural system going here, which is very interesting. We have plants that are the host plants to feed the caterpillars. We have the nectar plants to feed the butterflies, and we have the kind of things they like to light on and sleep on and wander around on. So we seem to be pleasing them because we know that we have at least 10 different kinds of butterflies in here this year. Well, this is a kunti. We have the signs. The signs were made in the wood shop for us, and we have signs for most of our plantings. So if anybody's interested, they can read the very generic names that we have and then Google it if they'd like to find out more. This is a lantana. We have different colored lantanas. This is porterweed. It's one of the favorites for the monarchs. And here comes the butterfly. This is a trophia, and you can see here some of the darker butterflies. Someone tells me that we have a lot of black butterflies in the butterfly garden, and at first glance that's the way it would seem. But if you look at them carefully, you'll see that they have different spots on them. Oftentimes a butterfly's underside of their wings is more colorful than the top, so you have to wait till they settle down and pull their wings up together, and then you can see the color on the underside. There's one in there that I think is a Gulf fritillary, the orange one that you may be able to see through there. Of course, we also have bees that are interested in our flowers, but they're just the little honeybees that don't do you any harm. And this not so attractive looking bush here is a budelia, which many people consider the traditional butterfly bush that they put in their gardens. Ours got sort of overrun with porterweed that's just recently been pulled out, so that we're hoping it'll come along and be a little bit healthier. And the Mexican petunia there, although just along a little bit further you can see the sticks that were Mexican petunias that the rabbits ate. Here's some of the milkweed that's not in bloom that the monarchs like. And the bush behind them is a coralberry, which has a few dried up pods on it now, but come spring it'll have a lot more of the red berries on it. We just did some recent pruning here on these two trees to separate them. We don't know what the furthest tree out over there is. We call it the mystery tree. And this is a wild coffee. This particular bush doesn't seem to have, oh, here's some of the red berries. They get loaded with some very pretty red berries that make them attractive. The cannas, particular kinds of butterflies that like the cannas very much that are growing there. And then we have one of my favorites, which is the beautyberry. And shortly it'll be covered with berries like this. Right now there's still some of the blossoms here. And that'll all be the purple berries very soon. And this is fire bush. Then over here we have a pipe vine, and this is a passion vine. Unfortunately, it's not in bloom now. It looks like it needs some nutrition. The leaves aren't too healthy, so we're going to have to do something about getting some fertilizer for that. But this is a real pipe vine down here, and you can see that it's loaded with caterpillars. These fellows started out being maybe 1/4 of an inch long and just tiny little things, and they've been eating and eating, and that's what they've grown to be. This is a golden dewdrop. It had blue blossoms on it, and then it gets these gold seed pods that are very pretty into the fall. This part around here isn't really for the butterflies. This is for the landscaping around the parking lot. And this is all wild coffee in back here. The cone flowers are here and on down around there. It's shady here, and they're the evergreen types. You don't see too many butterflies right in this spot. But here where the cone flowers start, and then the pentas. Pentas obviously come in different colors. The big fern with the very wide leaves on it, that's leather fern in there. This is a scorpion tail. And when we first got it, I thought we had a white porterweed, but you can definitely see the difference here. And this white blossom is called a scorpion tail. The candelabra has a beautiful bloom on it, but they've mostly been eaten up now. This yellow goes all the way down the stem, and it looks like a candelabra, it really does. And then this horse mint is sort of, a lot of this stuff is, it falls off. Even though we're in the south, it still sort of fades out in the fall, and it'll be coming back again soon. That's a Bahama cassia here, and here's some coreopsis down here. And that's a special grass that the butterflies like. You see this tassel up here on it. They seem to like this. The caterpillars seem to like this tassel as well as the butterflies like it, and oftentimes lay their eggs on this grass. And the sea lavender, which is very attractive. And this butterfly bush is something I'd never seen before, but it came, Steve Morton sent it down to us, and the butterflies seem to like it very much. This is wild lime. It's got thorns on it. In fact, many of these things have a lot of thorns on them. Somebody laughingly said the butterflies must use that for protection. This is Shell Point's butterfly garden, so it's obviously something for everyone in Shell Point and from outside of Shell Point to come and enjoy. You can see the butterflies. The sunnier it is, the more butterflies seem to come out. We have at least 10, probably many more varieties of butterflies. If you have a butterfly identification urge and a book to go with it, come sit on our bench and you'll have a grand afternoon watching them. It's also interesting for people who are interested in the different kinds of plants we have. Nothing is artificially fertilized or sprayed or anything like that. We're very, very careful to keep it all natural and uncontaminated to keep the wildlife that we have here happy. But do come, do enjoy. I love it.
Coming up, it's time to cover all of Thursday's happenings from Resort Services. Then after your Academy news and menus, stay tuned for Village Church Connections.
Today is Thursday, May 16th. I'm Suzanne Zavada, and I'm here with Bev Chanley to go over all of the events happening at Shell Point today. The day will begin at 7:15 with the Health Connections, Bend, Breathe, and Balance in the Health Club on the island. At 8 o'clock, the Round Robin Men's Doubles Tennis Group will meet out at the Woodlands Tennis Courts. And at 8:30, Beach Day will be leaving for their trip out to the beach. Court pickups will begin at 8:30 on the island, 8:40 at the Woodlands, and 8:50 at Eagles Preserve. Sign up is required. At 8:30, the Paddlers Club will meet out at the kayak storage on the island. And at 9:15, shuffleboard will be played out on the shuffleboard courts on the island. 9:30 is the time for the current events group to meet in the game room at the Woodlands. And it's also the time for the ladies' match play tennis group to meet out at the tennis courts at the Woodlands. At 9:45, we have introduction to beginning line dancing. And then at 10:15, we have basic line dancing, followed by 11:15 advanced line dancing, all taking place in the health club on the island. Now let's hear from Bev for the afternoon.
We're going to start out this afternoon at 1:15 down at the Butterfly Gardens. There'll be a committee meeting on the island. Also 1:15, we have Mahjong being played in the Library Lounge. And then we have a 1:15 spot, or Shell Point's own theater, play readers group in the Osprey Room. We move to 2:45 for a Health Connections class. This one's Balance and Mobility Training Level 2. That'll be in the Health Club. That is full. Also, we have a Health Connections class at 3:15, Your Life Quest and Massage Therapy in the Social Center. Sign up is required for that one. And at 4 o'clock, our seamstress will be here for her weekly service in the Osprey Room. 4:30, we have Alcoholics Anonymous meeting in the Sable Room down at the Woodlands. Then we move to 7 o'clock, where we have Pinochle being played in the Library Lounge. And we also have a 7 o'clock Trailblazers Bible study in the game room of the Woodlands. Thank you for joining us today. We will see you for the weekend edition tomorrow.
Hello, I'm Terry Kolath with your Academy update for Thursday. We have an e-reader Apple iPad class at 1 o'clock in the Oak Room of the Woodlands, and sign-up is required.
Menus for Thursday. In the Crystal Room, the Crystal Platter is chicken cordon bleu with buttered pasta and asparagus. The dinner special is the Crystal Carving Board for $10.95, and the soup of the day is country cabbage. In the Island Cafe for lunch, you can enjoy a roast beef cheddar melt with fries for $6.95. The dinner special is Thai night for $7.95. Dinner specials in the Palm Grill today are New York Strip for $19.95 or pork tenderloin for $15.95. All menus are available 24 hours a day at www.shellpoint.net.
Hi, welcome to Village Church Connections. I'm Andy Hawkins, the senior pastor of the Village Church, and I'm here with Nita DeWeese, and Nita is involved with the church library. And you've been doing this for quite some time, I understand.
Right, several years.
That's right. And we've got a bunch of books spread out in front of us, and obviously that you have some things that you would love to share with us, because summer's a great time to do some reading, isn't it?
Anytime's a great time.
Yeah, so tell us some of the opportunities that we have this summer to connect with the church library.
Well, we have just received 103 new items.
Oh, my.
And I thought maybe everybody would like to hear about them.
Absolutely.
Fiction, of course, is our biggest mover. Karen Kingsbury, Beverly Lewis, and Wanda Brunstetter are their constant favorites.
Yeah.
But we just received 15 new novels by B.J. Hoff, who is, she writes inspirational fiction and has many, many series.
Okay.
And my volunteer, Marge Schulke, keeps up with all these series so that as new books come out in a series, she makes sure we get them.
Absolutely.
Because people can't stand to only read 2 if there's 4. So, and if you're interested in something a little meatier, this is the book I would recommend. And the Countdown, Damascus Countdown is the latest. Yeah. And he is a very prophetic writer, excellent writer. Several of our Shell Point people have gone over to Sanibel Island to hear him speak.
Right, yeah.
And when you get done reading what he's writing, it's usually on the news. I mean, he is that up to date.
Yeah. This is Joel Rosenberg.
Joel Rosenberg,
absolutely.
And he is, not only does he do that prophetically, but he is an excellent writer in itself.
Yes.
And I just never can put his stuff down. We have received 3 new biographies, Martin Luther and St. Augustine. And this book called Burnt Alive is a story about Graham Staines and his 2 sons who were ambushed by a frenzied mob in India.
Oh, my,
and,
yes, that's right. I remember that story.
Right. Yeah. So those have just come in.
Extraordinary. Yeah.
And we also, of course, accept donations and have recently received a whole set, 16 of these books, and they're for gals 9 to 12, and they cover the 17th to the 20th centuries. And they are written, of course, for that age group, but giving them some history as well as Christianity.
Fantastic. So these are some books that perhaps grandparents could share with their grandchildren.
Right. I'm
absolutely.
hoping that the grandkids would come this summer.
Absolutely. I'm sure they will.
Yeah. And nonfiction, now I have not read all these. I can't possibly read all we have. But nonfiction, this one looked very good to me. It's called The 180-Degree Christian, and it's by Carter Collin, who is a senior pastor at the Times Square Church.
Oh, okay.
And he feels we have some very difficult days coming.
Oh, interesting.
And another nonfiction is Grieving, which is here.
Okay.
My Pilgrimage of Love by Gary Crawford, who's a senior pastor of the West Side Baptist Church in Gainesville, Florida. And Mike Huckabee has a little blurb about him, and he says, this is not your ordinary how to deal with grief book. Yeah. It's immensely personal and descriptive.
How about that?
And then if you feel that true spirituality has been corrupted by the culture and religion, then you will like to read Selling Water by the River. And Rob Bell, just another author, says it's really profound, really helpful, and very inspiring.
Interesting. Yeah.
And we also have shelf after shelf of DVDs and CDs, but I didn't, in this order, I don't have any in there, so I didn't bring any of those, but we have a lot of them. And we feel that the library contains over 4,000 items.
That's great.
Stimulating reading, and we have smiling, helpful volunteers.
Indeed.
And we're open 9 to 11 and 1 to 3, 6 days a week. And in addition, we are open on 5 to 7 on Wednesday nights and 4 to 6 on Sunday nights. And of course, Sunday morning from 8:30 until time for the service at 10:15. And that's a really busy time.
I'll bet.
And as a reminder, which I know we've told this before, but as a reminder, you can access the library by going to www.shellpoint.net and then go to library, and there's an area that will show you how to search for a book.
Interesting.
And you can search from home.
How about
and
that?
if we have it, it'll be there, but you just won't know whether it's physically in the library or not. But at least we'll have it.
Yeah,
You'll be able to tell that. So I figure everybody can enjoy their air conditioning or their lanai and just have an enjoyable book by their side for the summer.
That's fantastic. You know, one of the greatest thrills that I had just in coming here a few months ago was to see what a wonderful library exists, because I think that's incredibly important for a church and a community to be engaged in reading along these lines. And so we're thrilled that you're involved and you have a bunch of people that are committed to that ministry and committed to that whole operation of the library.
And we get people, not just churchgoers, but Shell Point people and outside Shell Point.
Absolutely.
I mean, as long as you want to put your name down and you can take a look.
That's right. Fantastic.
So.
Yeah. Well, Nita, thanks for being with us today for the Village Church Connections, and we're thanking all of you for paying attention to what a wonderful opportunity this might be for your summer reading pleasure. So thank you once again, and hope to see you soon here at the Village Church.
We're glad you joined us for today's show. Tune in tomorrow as we talk to Jack Adams, who will tell us everything we always wanted to know about hearing aids, but we're afraid to ask. Until then, this is Shell Point Today for Thursday, May 16th. I'm Dan Philgreen, and from all of us here at Shell Point TV, we hope you have a great day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.